I know a guy, and he needs family law advice. So he had a couple of twins with this lady who he was, I think, married to. But they were kind of married in secret.
All right.
She dies in childbirth, but he doesn't know that the kids are born. Some other people know that the kids are born.
Like mutual friends of the couple?
Yeah. And so there's like an uncle who agrees to take one of the twins, and the other twin gets adopted.
Okay, outside of
this.
family?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this interested third-party couple knows about the twins and takes one of the twins. So if there's a claim from the father when he finds out, because he eventually does find out that these kids exist and they're his, what kind of custody issues are we looking at? So there's a full legal adoption on one side.
Okay.
The uncle, there's not really anything legally happening there. He's just kind of watching over him.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, what kind of custody issues are we looking at?
So, if we've got a full legal adoption, there's a possibility that parental rights have been terminated, but dad in that scenario would most likely have figured out about that. If he was maybe living on a rock, living in the middle of outer space, there's a possibility that he's not going to know about it, but that tends to drag on the court process. He's still got to attempt to be served, so there's that issue there. However, if the legal adoption went all the way through, if his parental rights were terminated, it's probably going to be hands-off.
But is that just for the one?
That would just be for the one.
Okay.
With the other one, if parental rights haven't been terminated, if a formal guardianship hasn't been established, it would be pretty easy for him to come back into a court, say, hey, I'm dad, I have rights with respect to this child. And if he wants to assert those rights, then assuming, this child is under 18, there's going to be a pretty strong possibility that, he has some sort of rights. Circumstances being what they may, right? It sounds like there's some conflict in these relationships. We're just living in reality here. Everybody's got conflict. If that uncle wants to establish a guardianship, in that case, the parental rights, depending on what type of guardianship you're going for, you're still going to go into court. He still has the ability to present his side of the story. Given that hasn't happened yet, it would probably be just an uphill battle. There's going to have to be court either way. But dad has this claim until proven otherwise. So as long as he's a pretty good guy.
Well, let's get to that. So there's probably an issue of domestic violence.
Oh, okay.
And it was on video.
Okay.
So is that going to make much of a difference?
I'd say, it still is going to have to come in front of the court to demonstrate.
He didn't technically touch her.
Oh, okay. Okay, what? But the Family Code and the Domestic Violence Prevention Act, there's a broad definition of abuse, and so it's still going to have to go in front of the court. The uncle, if he wants to maintain this guardianship or establish formally this guardianship, it's definitely going to come into question there, and you don't actually have to, lay hands on anybody for it to be considered domestic violence.
Good to know.
Yeah.
So also the dad, he's like a higher up guy in the government. He's almost like a military guy.
Oh, okay.
Does him being in the military affect anything?
So the only real issue with the military is that, if he's involved with the military in some capacity, say for example, he's, on a detachment or he's deployed or for some reason he's not where, his domicile is. The court proceedings can't go on without him being notified, and there's a possibility that the court is not going to make orders until he's able to come into court and give his side of the story. Kind of sounds like, depending on the circumstances, he might not really want to show up and face that, but, you never know. You never know. But that's how the military would come into play. However, there's not supposed to be any sort of power or esteem or ranking or anything like that should influence the proceedings.
That's good to know.
Okay.
He's pretty high up there.
Yeah, well, good luck to these kids.
Okay, thank you.
Rooting for them.